Hi, Jacob. Hi, Nora. How are you both?
We're good. How are you?
Yeah, great. Thank you. And really excited to be speaking to you both today because I watched the film earlier this week for the first time. And I can only imagine how excited you must be to share this with the world because it's a really special little film, I thought.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, it is exciting times indeed. After all of the years, I think Jacob, you were much younger when you started this
Yeah.
whole
Oh,
process.
yeah.
So yeah, it'll be good to get it out there.
Yeah, well, I say it's a little film, but it feels very epic in scale. So that's maybe not the best description. But that animation style really reminded me of the storybooks that I know as a kid that I grew up obviously seeing and things. So Nora, was that sort of animation style a priority for you, or did you have any other maybe specific inspirations for this one?
Yeah, I think with this film, we wanted it to feel really immersive. One of the goals that we have for any film, but particularly this one, because there's such an emotional part to the film, is for our audience to at some point forget that they're watching a film. My best experiences watching films, I remember the Wizard of Oz as a young child watching it, and for a while just forgetting that there was a screen between me and the characters, and it being almost a shock when I realized, oh, this is a movie and it's going to end. It's not a place that I'm inhabiting, and so I've always been kind of chasing that feeling again as a director. So we very much took inspiration from Ruth Gannett's illustrations in the original book, but we also took inspiration from children's imaginations. So I asked my two boys, my two children, to draw the characters from the book, and I was just amazed by what they would do. Rosa, a fantastic production designer who worked on the film, also asked her daughter to draw, and like they do things like draw a huge head on a tiger, or turn a whale into a bubble because like she seemed like a bubble. And so we really went with that whole feeling. A tree doesn't need to look like a tree. It can be a giant mushroom or a dandelion or something like that. And so that was the way that we went forward with the whole project.
How amazing. And Jacob, Elmer's a character. He goes through so much on this adventure. So, what did you really enjoy about exploring this crazy world through his eyes?
I mean, I just loved in the recording process, I was able to see some of the concept art. So, before going into the scene, I could really close my eyes and picture what it would be like. I think my favorite sequence was the whole sequence with the tigers. And I saw what they would look like, and I was like, yeah, I mean, to kind of like imagine that. I mean, to help, with their massive teeth and their really sharp claws, could really imagine that, and having Gaten there as well to record it with me and just really feel like we were in a storybook, and felt like we could really play in this room, because we were like recording in this decently big room too. So we really had the space to kind of get into it.
Oh, fantastic. And I know obviously you have done big voice roles before, whether it's Luca or something like The Little Mermaid, which is coming up. But given the uniqueness of this story in particular, would you say this project was a much different sort of experience? You mentioned obviously working obviously with Galen there. So was that something that's different from past projects you've done?
It was extremely different. I mean, this was my first big animation. The whole process, it would take them about a week to for 4 seconds of animation. So it took a long time. I recorded it when I was 13, and I'm 16 now. So definitely a long while. So I'm very excited for it to finally be out. But yeah, definitely recording with Gaten really helped, because it was a big learning curve going from live action into the room with the mic here, and your script there. But having Nora and Gaten there really helped me, because being able to make that connection with another actor is so important for film. And I mean, I have the biggest respect for voice actors, because they're able to kind of tap into it without necessarily having someone there. And having Gaten there was just amazing.
Fantastic. And Nora, a movie like this, I think, really does often live or die on its voice cast. And you've got a fantastic ensemble. But when it came to obviously having Jacob and Gaten to play Elmer and Boris, what about them made them right for this very quirky duo we see in the film?
Oh, I could tell from the musicality of their voices and how, just listening to their different performances, and they're both such amazing actors, that there was a potential there for something really special. I do feel the weight of responsibility as a director to make sure that the animators, you know, as Jacob said, you know, it takes a week to animate 4 seconds. So if the actor doesn't believe what, you know, that performance, then the animator is going to be in big trouble. But from the minute that the two guys got into the room together and, you know, we pressed record, it was pretty obvious to me that it was pure magic, that they already, that there was, they just really liked each other and just got each other's humor. And we're just two kids playing around, you know, and so that really, you can hear that in the performances. You can hear that they're just having fun together. So I felt really privileged to be in the same room with Gaten and Jacob, and I felt like if I put my hand between the two microphones, I might, you know, get a shock or something, because you could just feel the energy. So whether it was the really playful scenes or the very adventurous ones or the really dramatic scenes, they were there for each other. And as two actors, they were able to give each other what each other needed to be able to really hit the heights that the animators then could just go and run with when they got to hear the performances.
Definitely. And Boris, he is this very fun and unexpected dragon. And I know I fell in love with him pretty quickly. But for both of you, what about that character did you find yourselves really gravitating towards? And I guess obviously for you, Jacob, it must have been working with your co-star, maybe change your perception a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I really connected with my character. Elmer, I think he was probably easily the most ambitious character I've ever played. So to kind of tap into that, you know, creative, he's very creative too. So kind of tap into that creative, you know, and ambitious space, you know, doing those scenes. What I love about Nora is that she really like pushed me to go for those emotions. And there's a lot of seasons. No, sorry. There's a lot of scenes where Elmer, he kind of puts on a little businessman kind of idea, and you know, to kind of get out of situations and to kind of go for that and to kind of reach and, you know, really try and, you know, sell what Elmer's trying to sell, really helped me connect to him.
Yeah, and same for you, Nora. Obviously, Boris, very special character to you.
Yeah, you know, I think we all have a little bit of Boris, you know, to us that, you know, person, you know, I often feel like I have imposter syndrome, or that maybe I'm not up to what it is that I think I should be up to, and that maybe somebody should just like take over what I do because I'm not sure what I'm doing. The great thing about Boris is that he's able to admit that. The great thing about Elmer is that, you know, there's something about the dynamic between the two characters that Elmer is able to be ultimately so generous with Boris. I don't want to, you know, give anything away, but there's something I think pretty extraordinary and unique about this, you know, particular you know, kind of buddy duo thing that works really well. And I think that I've certainly learned some lessons from just watching Jacob and Gaten in the room together, from Meg, our fantastic screenwriter, and from Ruth Stiles Gannett, amazing book. There is that heart there of, if you're really there for someone else, then, you know, in ways that's the best gift that you can give yourself, is to be there for someone else.
Oh, how wonderful. Well, thank you both so much for your time. I loved what you did with this film. I had such a great time watching it and can't wait for people to see it when it hits Netflix. So thank you again.
Thanks so much.